Welcome to another edition of the Bloody Legends with Jim and Jai, proudly supported by Crank.com and thatmetalstation.com. Show your support and hit that like and subscribe. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Bloody Legends with Jim and myself, Jai, that Aussie metal guy. On today's show, we have special guests Gavin Arnold, Dalton Seebruck, Logan Bell, and Josh Kennedy from hard rock band Monroe, whose latest EP, This Is Rebirth, is a debut of sorts, came out February 3rd through Imagen Records. I did have some technical difficulties, so I had to go back and re-record a little intro for this. Thank you so much, everybody. We do cut into Gavin Arnold talking about how the band began. Gavin, can you tell us a little bit about the beginnings of Monroe and kind of where this all started from, my friend?
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. So me and Logan, the bass player, we actually grew up in Monroe Center, Illinois. And we were sitting around with a old guitarist of ours, and who also lived from Monroe. At that time, 3 of us lived in Monroe Center, but he's no longer with us. But we made a joke, and we're like, hey, let's start a band called Monroe Center. And then the other guy was like, let's call ourselves the Monroes. And then I said, no, that sounds like a Ramones cover band. That sounds stupid. and so I'm like, what if we just drop the center and just say Monroe? And that kind of just took off from there.
Nice. And we have Dalton jumping in. There we go.
We have everybody, man. This is so cool. Here we go. I feel like a very hard rock Brady Bunch.
Yeah, this is good. This is kind of like our first band on the podcast. I myself have done a few band interviews as well, guys. I'm very, very pleased to actually finally have all of you in now for the podcast there. We do have, of course, Logan Bell, Josh Kennedy, Dalton Seebruck, and Gavin Arnold of Monroe. Talk about the band itself and the latest EP, Let It Burn, which is an absolute ripper, did drop through Imagen Records. And we were saying as well before that Jim, my co-host, is actually label mates with you guys too.
Yes. Very excited. Yeah. So my band Lenny, we're on the same label. I got to give a shout out to Morgan Rose from Sevendust, who this is our our boss and all that. But this is very cool. Thank you guys for coming on the show with me and Jay and everything.
Thanks for
this
having
is
us.
Really an honor. Oh my God. No, wonderful.
So So I just want to elaborate quickly there, Jim. Sorry to jump in there, my friend. I want to elaborate a little bit more on what Gavin was saying about the early days of the band. What was the original lineup like? Because you did have Logan and Gavin. Was Dalton and Josh a part of that then? Or tell us a little bit about evolution.
They weren't. We actually had quite a few members before we found them. We had probably two different drummers before Josh. We had, I don't even want to count the guitar players before Dalton. Probably 6 other guitar players before Dalton. I feel like as a band, especially starting out, you go through a long period, and lots of new bands got to understand this. Like, you're gonna go through guys, and it's gonna take a long time before you find the ones that the fit, and the ones that you don't want to kill, and half the time you want to kill the ones you got anyways. But that's really what it's about. Who can all be friends and get along and write stuff.
Yes, sir.
And it takes a fair bit of work as well at the beginning. Like, you're not very sure, I suppose, how far you're going to take it, and then you start going, okay, then we're really going to make a push at this, and you got to kind of work out who's really keen to make that work, I suppose, because it does take a lot of work behind the scenes as well. It's not just rocking up on stage and playing your song and fucking off home. You've got to treat it like a job.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Right.
A job that takes all your money.
Yeah. Yes, it takes a lot of money.
So, Josh, tell us about you're a drummer in the band, man. Tell us about you joining into the band as well.
Yeah, I had my own band, and like all bands, when you first start out, your first couple of years, you're not very good. And you know, I was looking to do something else. I just wanted to. I think the guys that I was with, they you know, they like playing, but it wasn't something that they really, you know, took serious. And I was thinking like, okay, I want to actually start doing stuff. Like I wanted to keep playing it, like playing in more shows. And so I kind of started looking around, and it's funny because the drummer before me from Monroe, I had about a year ago, I had bought a couple cymbals from him, and he randomly popped up on the People You May Know on Facebook, and I wasn't friends with him, but I looked at his Facebook. I was like, oh, I bought cymbals from this guy, and I looked, and it was like 5 minutes before I had looked at his Facebook. It said, hey, any drummers in our area, hit me up. I have an opportunity for you. So I messaged him, and it's funny because if I wouldn't have seen his profile, because he's a guy that he posted a lot on Facebook. So, you know, I wasn't going to scroll through his news feed, but if I wouldn't have seen his profile like a couple hours later, you know, I probably wouldn't have seen that you know, that post about needing a drummer. Right. So I messaged him. He said, hey, this is Gavin Arnold. You should message him. You know, I'm the temporary drummer right now. And I messaged Gavin. They had a show about 3 days later. Gavin told me, he's like, hey, come out and, you know, we got the show. And I remember I actually ended up not knowingly sitting down at the table with Gavin's parents at the show, and got to talking with them. And, yeah, I saw him play, and I was really impressed. I was blown away by their performance and how they sounded, and talked to him, and came over about a couple days later to jam, and I moved in a month later into that house. And so
that's awesome.
Yeah, then it was Gavin and I living in that house for 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So then you would have had a lot of time to really, I suppose, connect and kind of see if he's really kind of gelled as well there, right?
Oh yeah, plenty of time. Love, hate,
love, hate. Yeah, because living with someone isn't fucking easy.
Living with someone, you know,
it's
a roller coaster, you know.
Oh God, yeah. But
sorry, I'm walking to my house now.
Oh, you're fine, sir. I was like, oh God, he's dead. What's happening?
Nope, you're good.
We're good.
I just got it.
But like it's like playing with bands. It's almost like dating. You're in a committed relationship, and I know from personal experience, hey man, it's not just it's like, well, we're gonna record and we're gonna play and then I'll see you later. No. We're gonna get pizza and we're gonna watch Howard the Duck or you know whatever, and it's everything. You're invested of you know what you're working on. So like it's definitely like an adjustment and all that. But I feel you guys have this incredible meld. That you know, I was listening to your tracks today, and I was like, man, the melody, the heaviness, and everything, just amazing. And did jamming together, was that? Did you have to adjust to each other, or was it very organic?
We definitely had to adjust to each other and differences. And This Is Rebirth. It's called This Is Rebirth because we are a very different band from this EP compared to when we released a little local band album called Rose for the Wicked. So that's kind of the whole story behind the name of This Is Rebirth, is like, this is the new us.
Okay.
And, yeah, like we really found ourselves with these 5 tracks.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, This Was Rebirth, as Jim was just saying, it has a really great sound. It has those really great melodies, and those guitars in this are just bloody absolutely insane. You have those really kind of almost those really good hooks vocally, but then these real heavy kind of instrumentals behind it. So it's easy to, you know, to sing along and rock out to, but it's all, you can just jam out to it too. You
Absolutely.
know, pull that like mean face too. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Stank face.
So Dalton, what was that? Was that like your lead guitarist there, man? What was it like? Creating the guitars and the melodies and all that behind it
For
as
sure.
Well, the main part, like the songwriting, starts with Gavin. Like he does a lot of the vocals, and like he thinks of the lyrics and the hooks and the melodies and stuff. And he does a lot of like the chord progressions and like the structure and stuff. And then we come in, fill in the extra and try to make it, that extra sparkly, twinkly bits better. And
Yes, sir.
then there's other times where it's just like, okay, well, where can we go from here? It's like, okay, well, he's really great at making the verses and the bridges, or the verses and the choruses. And then it's like, where can we make this thing heavy? Where can we make it not like a freaking drop, but where can we make it slam a little bit? And the bridges where we all kind of turned up a little bit and really bring the heat and the bridges, like in Back to Life and Hate to See You Again.
Yeah, so Gavin,
No
can you elaborate on that? Tell me a little bit about your process before you kind of come in there to Dalton and go, here you go, man, this is what I've got. Let's work on this. Or
my process in writing music's kind of funny. So like it can come from anywhere at any time. And I could be at work or doing the dishes, anything, and all of a sudden something will come to me and I'll pick my phone up and I'll sit there and I'll just go, da, 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 and start mouthing something so I don't forget it.
Oh, that's so cool. Yeah.
And a majority of the time, like especially if I'm at work, people look over at me and they're like, "What the hell is that guy doing?" He's like, he's making noises into his phone, and they just don't understand.
Right.
Because I know I'll forget it. I'll think of something and I will always forget it if I don't record it, and then I'll bring it to them, or I'll try to mess around with it at my house. And I normally bring the structure. I start out with either a beginning of a song to a main riff to the verses, and tie in with a really good chorus. And I come to them with basically all the bass of the song, like bass line of the song, the words, and then we kind of tweak things and figure out some parts that I had missing, or some parts that I'll say, hey, I wanted a little help with this part. What do you guys think?
Right.
Dalton, do something lead right here. Josh, make the drums really. I'm not a drummer, so whenever I say that, I'm like, make the drums really, and then I rely on him and his skill to bring my stupid sounds to life.
You'd get that a lot though as a drummer, wouldn't you, Josh? People coming up to you and
when you're like, when we're always in the writing process, it's funny because in the studio or wherever we're at, and we're talking about something. It's it's called just speaking drummer. Like they're they're trying to be like, well, what do you think about like part that's like, and I'm like, well, what about and then the person, like someone who's sitting there that doesn't know music, and they're like looking at you like cross-eyed, like, what?
Yeah, they're like,
so honestly, there's I was gonna say, I was thinking that too, but I was thinking there's a shit ton of scatting between y'all until you figure out a rhythm, and then it just goes forward.
Scat, we're like skip-a-leap, bop-a-deep, bop-a-skip, no, something like that.
But that's really cool because you're like to like try and try different things. It's like well, I'm not a drummer, I'm not a guitar player, but you hear a melody and it's like let's utilize that to the best of our ability and be like, okay, well, I'm a drummer, well, I'm a vocalist, I'm a guitar player, and that's and then it's like, all right, we have this dough that is our pizza, and then you mold it into something interesting. So that's very cool, man. That's really cool that you guys do that way. Every band has a different writing process, so we're just fascinated by what Monroe's writing process is. So this is very cool.
So so This Is Rebirth is like, as you were saying there, Gavin, the EP kind of, the name kind of stands as this is a rebirth of the band of Monroe, and it does kind of have a really really great sound, and he's got a really big PR push behind it, and he's worked with some pretty fucking amazing artists for
No doubt.
this EP as well. You know, Jose from 3 Years Hollow. You got Shaun from Breaking Benjamin, and another amazing drummer as well in Morgan from Sevendust and Len. And Barry.
I just texted all
3
them, by the
Days
way,
Grace
before
as
this
well.
interview.
So what was it like working? Tell me a little bit
That's so
about
cool.
working with those guys and kind of how they all came apart. You know, tell me the stories behind it.
Actually, so one of my buddies that I had been friends with, he was in another local band back in the day, and he joined a band called Alborn. I don't know if you guys know who that is.
Good friends of mine, bro. Yeah, Justin, all them guys, man.
Same with us. They're very good friends with us. And
for sure.
Nate, the guitar player, used to play in Static Signal, and he's from Rockford, just similar to us. And I got to talking with him, and they started working with Morgan, and Jose did this thing where it was, you know, pay a certain amount of money, go out to Ohio, I believe it was
Westchester,
Cincinnati, or somewhere like Cincinnati, Ohio. I don't know, something like that. And go out there and record a song with Morgan and Shaun from Sevendust and Breaking Benjamin. And when he texted me that, he's like, I think you guys should do this. It'd be a good opportunity. And we did it, and we recorded Tides with them, which is not on the EP. That was the first song that we did with them.
Yeah.
But you can find that on all social medias and stuff too, or all music platforms and stuff. And then they really ended up liking us and wanted to work with us more. And we wanted to keep working with them because we liked what we were getting. And now we kind of really made a friendship, though. I mean, you know, like after we get done, we go to casinos, we go out. I've been out to eat with them numerous times. You know, we've me and Shaun from Breaking Benjamin, we talk all the time. We Snapchat back and forth all the time, you know, joking around.
Dude.
And it's like if you would have told me 3 years ago that I'd be BFFs with Breaking Benjamin's drummer,
Yes, sir.
I probably would have had a heart attack, you know. But now I talk to him all the time, and the cool thing about it is we don't always talk about music. You know, we talk about everything. Right. We talk about cars. We talk about all kinds of things, you know. And
yes, sir.
Yeah, it's a really cool relationship that we've got to build with these people, and we get to have fun with them outside of the music scene as well.
Yeah, well, tell me a little bit more about that track Tides, because that was a ripper track and kind of almost a marking of what was to come with This Is Rebirth as well.
Yeah, Tides I wrote a few years ago, and that was the first. It kind of has a blend of our older stuff mixed with the This Is Rebirth stuff. Just like you said, it was a good this is what's to come, because Tides was kind of the turning point where we were like, that was the first time we ever actually yelled and Josh has ever screamed. Yeah, and during the recording process, we figured that out, that oh shit, we can do this. And and also I gotta credit a lot to Alborn too, because being our friends and watching them and stuff, they're another band that inspires me as well. And Justin's got this just nasty yell when he yells. And I was like, I'm gonna try to do that, but my own way, you know. And that's what came out of Tides. And I think after we, you know, listened to Tides 7,000 times after it came out, we're like, this is gonna be us. Like, we're gonna take this and we're gonna run.
Yes, sir.
You know.
Yeah, speaking of inspirations, guys, I want to bring some of you into the convo too. Can you go through and tell me a little bit about some of the artists, people, musicians that have kind of inspired and influenced kind of who you are as a musician?
Sure. I'll go last if you guys want to take the reins.
Dalton, you want to start?
Sure, yeah. So personally, like growing up and I guess learning guitar, my biggest inspiration was Jimmy Page, Led Zeppelin. But as like a riff writer, riff master kind of guy. But then for like, that's not necessarily like sounds like Monroe. That's a lot more just rock and roll kind of stuff. But then that I would say Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin was my favorite band, and then it'd be Foo Fighters, Dave Grohl's Insane, and then Black Label Society, Zakk Wylde. That's probably where more of the influence for the hard rock metal comes from. And that those are my top three inspirations and people and like bands and like musicians that I aspire to be like and try to, in a sense, emulate but make it my own. Conglomerate all of those three together, and that's where
we like to say that that Dalton is you ordered Zakk Wylde off Wish.com, and that's our lead guitar player of our band.
Nice.
Because of his blonde hair and his red beard,
Right.
looks like he's Zakk Wylde's little brother.
Viking.
Be perfect for a Tom Petty cover band or something.
Yeah.
No, we love Dalton and everything he does. So
Indeed.
Who's up next? Logan, Josh?
Logan, you want to go?
I mean, I don't really have anybody like specific that I've ever really looked to for inspiration. I didn't grow up playing music like the rest of these guys. So like, I just, I tried to absorb everything I was learning from everybody around me, whether it was people that were playing at the shows I was watching, people I was opening up for, or, even people opening up for me. You learn something from everybody.
That's a good place to be, though, eh? That really is. Hey, buddy.
Wave to him. Say hi.
G'day.
Oh, what I miss?
The next generation of Monroe.
Was that your son?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure what happened. It was a delay.
We just missed the next generation of Monroe, Jim. It's all right. No, definitely a good place to be, Logan. Like to kind of be a sponge and just take in everything from everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I never had a chance to think about people inspiring me until like I needed some inspiration.
Nice.
Okay, and how about you, Josh?
Well, growing up, I guess I got to say my dad was my main inspiration. I grew up in a musical family. My dad was a really well-rounded musician. So I grew up watching him play. He sat me down when I was 7 years old and started teaching me the drums. And it wasn't long because he wasn't really a drummer, mainly a guitar player and a singer. And he taught me just a couple basic beats. And then it really wasn't long at all that he said that, I kind of surpassed his level of talent at a very, very young age. And then, from then this was before YouTube and all that. So, I mean, I had a little, the boombox stereo that I would either load CDs or cassettes up into, and listen to, all sorts of different music. And, my dad was a worship pastor. So, at a young age, secular music wasn't quite accepted in my home as a young kid. So, I mean, I had like these Christian rock bands I was listening to, but once I started getting a little older, I mean, I started listening to like, Disturbed, Godsmack. That was like my, oh, whoa, this stuff's heavy. Like, oh my God. and it like gives you that like ball tingling feeling. And I'm like, whoa, and so then I started listening to all that, and A Day to Remember ended up, being my favorite band. And still to this day, I was, young teenager. That's a band that it'll probably be my favorite band till the day I die. But yeah, but then like drummers, it obviously Neil Peart. I watching, listening to that guy when I was younger was just, insane, mind blowing. And then, obviously again, Travis Barker was listening to him play Blink-182. That was just stuff that I'm like, I don't know how these guys. It's like trying to comprehend how they're playing. But yeah.
Do you remember what your first drum kit was? Was it that drum kit you learned on? Was Dad like, there you go, like you just you're better on this than I ever will be?
Yeah, well, that wasn't my first. The first drum kit that was mine personally is the kit I still play on.
Okay.
My dad had this old Yamaha that he had when he was a teenager, and I mean, the thing was falling apart. I had cymbals that I found in a dumpster
And I mean, it sounded like I was hitting a trash can lid anyways, but I mean, that's what I grew up on playing for a little while until I was 16 years old. I finally got a drum set of my own, and that's the kit I still play with. So
What's that? What are you using now then?
it's a Gretsch Catalina Maple. So it's still it's held up pretty well. That was 13 years ago. Yeah, 13 years ago when I got it. So yeah, it's a 13-year-old kit.
Oh,
Still
nice.
runs.
Yeah, no, I've spoken to a few drummers, man. They're like still playing on the same kit, man. It still just has the great sound. So
Right.
if it ain't broke,
Right.
don't fucking fix it.
No, yeah, I'm like, I mean, I mean, she's on her. I'd give it maybe a year, 2 years. 2 years tops, but I'm telling me probably a year. I'm gonna have to retire it because
everyone's going to go buy the album, and you're going to have enough to go buy this bloody new drum kit. People hear that, go buy a shitload of Monroe merch,
Yeah.
and
Yes, sir.
Rebirth EP, and catch them. So, what are you using now? What guitars are you using now? I noticed a fine collection behind you there, Dalton. Tell us a little bit about the guitar setups you were using for the this EP. Yeah, man.
This green one here is the main one. It's a Washburn WI-64DL. I actually bought this, and
Wonderful.
that Explorer there, and then a really crappy PV Strat style guitar from not necessarily even a garage sale. It was just a buddy had a friend who was selling the 3 guitars, and I bought all 3 of these guitars for $350. And
That's awesome.
this was but this one's my main. It's got 11 gauge strings on it. And yeah, tuned down to, I guess, drop C is what all the songs are that are recorded. But then I've got, as far as the rig is, I got this. I haven't really, not the Bush Light, but
no harm in that.
That's right. But I just got this Super Crush 100 orange. And that, like, I say we're predominantly a orange sounding band. Because that's Gav's got the Crush Pro, the Crush Pro. And then I've got this 2x12 Black Star. And love the sound, and this one's a solid state, which is, I picked solid state for a reason, just for when we do go on shows and stuff, is that shit's getting tossed around, and I don't want breaking tubes. I've got, and I did play with that live for a little bit, but it was like my baby, and I would be the only one touching it and making sure it wasn't, getting tossed around and stuff. But this one I really like. It's got a very tube-like sound to it, and you can thrash around, and it should take it. Hopefully, it won't break. It's, seen a couple shows here we've got it last August, and we've played quite a few shows with it, and I'm really happy with it. So that's
awesome.
That's mine. I got pedals, effects pedals, delay for a lot of the stuff, and then a chorus pedal, analog chorus pedal, and a wah pedal. Those are the main ones that I end up using. But otherwise, I just the gain from the amp for the most part. So
cool.
Yeah, nice. Gavin, can you tell us about your setup, man? What are you using, bro?
Yeah. So my main right now, I have a custom Blackheart Flying V. I've been using that for, so I hate the Floyd Rose tremolo system. I hate it. And this guitar has it. And I played it for like a year, and I still don't know how to tune that thing. I tried and I've tried, and I just can't get it. I don't know why. And so I eventually put it down for probably 2 years, and then decided to pick it back up. And I bought a Tremel No, and you install it into the back of the guitar, and it completely it locks that bridge. So it's like a normal guitar again. And so I started playing that. But before then, because I just recently got back into the custom Blackheart, but before then, I've been playing the absolute shit out of a LTD Les Paul of mine. This beautiful Sunburst guitar I bought when I was in like a sophomore in high school. And besides minor inconveniences like a tuning peg breaking off and needing to go get it fixed, I have beat the hell out of that LTD Les Paul. And I played hundreds, maybe 1,000 something shows with that thing. And that's now my backup because I went back to the Flying V, but I almost enjoy playing that one slightly more, but that'll be my backup for now.
Yeah. And I got to ask you, Logan, what are you using, my friend?
I use an LTD. I mean, like me, for mostly, I just like cosmetics. You know, like I can pretty much adapt to just about anything. I just like the dark wood body.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that comes back to what we were discussing before, kind of being a sponge and taking everything in and kind of having the bass thrown again on you, man. It's probably kind of helped you out a little bit, eh, Logan, going, well, fuck it, man. I just want something that looks good. I'll pick this shit up and no worries.
Yeah.
Yeah, Logan learned how to play the bass to be in this band.
Yeah, I know. It's like 13 days he was telling us before as well.
Yeah.
Too. So very, very bloody cool, man. So the latest EP, Let It Burn, did come out through Imagen Records. What's it like being signed over with Imagen Records there?
So far, it's been going pretty well. You know, we've been getting our push and getting our streams and getting on playlists, which is a huge deal for getting out there. And yeah, I mean, the PR, Shauna, she's great so far. I mean, we've been doing interviews left and right, you know. Doing so many interviews, we actually accidentally missed one or two, and she always gets on you, you know, and lets you know or had to reschedule. But we made this one, so we're up. We're like to a good start.
Up doing well.
Sure.
And you did mention that you are getting a fair bit of you know, PR, airplay, and coverage all over the bloody place. And one of those is the latest, well, the film clip that dropped off for Let It Burn, man. Tell us a little bit about making that film clip and then the film clip, the track itself, sorry.
Indeed.
That was a great experience. It was interesting. Yeah. So it was like, I don't remember, 20 degrees out. It was so cold.
No.
And it might have been colder than that. Yeah, I don't know. But it was in the middle of, was it November, I believe? Or was it December?
I think it was late November, early December.
Yeah, something like that, whatever. But my parents live on a really, really big farm. And we had used one of the outbuildings for the video. And then we did a lot of the shots with the fire outside next to the field. And at one point, it was just started pouring snow. And it was so cold. Logan is the biggest cold baby I've ever met in my life. But
it's true.
It was freezing cold. We were all shivering. The only heat we had was from the flamethrower that we used for the beginning of the video. So every time he'd light that thing off, we were like, "Come on, please!" You know, it was so cold.
We were doing squat jumps and jumping jacks to keep warm.
Yeah, but and every video we've ever done, it's been freezing. So we need to not do that anymore.
Dead of winter.
So you got some more film clips coming off of this EP, yeah?
Yeah, we got a video for Anyone at All that we did a while ago.
Yep.
Nice.
We have it. We were actually just talking about we need to figure out when a release date for that is going to be, but it's coming, and I'm sure we'll get another one in. You know, we got to space everything out, of course, but
yeah, well, that's the thing as well as a band. You kind of got to do space all these singles out, give it the proper coverage, but also as an artist, you kind of want to get this out, I suppose. This is Rebirth because you obviously something you've been working on for a little while now. You know, want to have this out and kind of get the shows behind it and kind of move on to the next phase of what is happening with Monroe, because it's got to put a fire in your belly, kind of seeing what's happening with this EP too.
Indeed,
it was great. From when we released Tides till This Is Rebirth, it'd been like 2 years.
Yeah,
and it just felt like we didn't have a resume almost we have a good list of people we've played with. Like that was our resume, trying to get onto shows and tell people like, oh yeah, check us out. Come to the shows. We've got some credentials, but then they're like, okay, what songs you got? I was like, well, we got one song. We got Tides, and well, do you got anything else? Like, well, we do, but it's not out yet, or you can't hear it anymore because we took off the old album off all the streaming sites and stuff because it's not up to snuff as far as sound going. It was just like a long time. It felt like a long time coming for this thing to be released, so we actually had more content out there for people to listen to.
Yeah, 'cause we deleted the old album Roast for the Wicked, and we only had Tides out for almost 2 years, and it was just the one song out. And it was funny though, when we deleted Roast for the Wicked, the amount of people that came to us afterwards were like, "What you guys do with your songs? They're gone." And we're like, "Oh yeah, we deleted." They're like, "Why? This song was so good," and you're like, "Yeah."
Right.
Well, if you like that, I guarantee you'll like the stuff that's coming, because
and the people that bought the physicals, there you fucking go. Sometimes it pays to get a hold of those early demos and physicals and hold on to them, because bands like yourself, you have this clean, crisp, professional sound, and it'd be easy for someone to go, oh, they've just got Tides and then this EP, they're a pretty new band. But I suppose you didn't want to have that album out with that sound kind of representing where going forward.
Yeah, and we did redo some of those songs on them and turn them into the songs we have now. But yeah, but we do have, like, I'd say almost every show we have someone that comes up to us and they say like, "Hey man, like, do you still have a copy of that?" And we're like, "Yeah, we got tons of these CDs." And I mean, like, the amount of them that I've seen Gavin like ninja star across the practice room. We have hundreds of them, and someone always asks for one. We're like, "Hey, here you go, have it." But yeah.
So you said, mentioning live shows, how's the live scene been? What's it like being, playing live the last year or so, man?
Year or so? I mean, we the summer and the spring, summer, fall are always, insanely busy. I mean, we average in the summer at least 8 shows a month a lot of the times. And for guys that all have full-time jobs, that's a lot. So up until going into the winter, it slows down a little. It definitely does slow down, but we still have our winter shows. But now, I mean, we've been doing pretty well getting shows, and there were a lot of times where we found ourselves turning shows down more than accepting them, just because we just didn't have the time, or it just didn't fit in. Which is wild. When I first got into this and got in the band, I would never thought I'd turn a show down, But yeah.
What going forward? Coming forward, you got the summer season coming up. I dare say you got a lot of shows booked in. I know you probably wouldn't be able to give too much away yet, but you've got a few shows coming up now, starting to warm up a little bit over there.
Yeah, we got what about at least 1 to 2 shows until planned as of right now till I think September.
Yep.
But and we already know that they're
Did
gonna
you say
start
2 shows till September?
No, 2 a month.
Oh,
1 to 2.
Okay,
1 to 2. No, we have 1 to 2 a month.
More than 2 shows than till September.
We've got 2 shows. No worries.
Yeah.
No, awesome, guys. And I want to ask quickly about the cover, man. That's a really striking cover on there with the Black Rose.
That goes back to the original local band album. So that one was called Rose for the Wicked, and the album cover for that, album cover for that is a bright red rose right at the bottom. If my little box is the album cover, there's a bright red rose right here. And then behind it, there's like a shadow of a man with like trees behind him. And that was called Rose for the Wicked. And so this This Is Rebirth, it's a black rose. Like
Yeah.
that part of us is dead now, and now it's time for rebirth, you know. So it's kind of
Nice.
a lot of people wouldn't know that unless you were like original fans that you could put two and two
Right.
together, you know.
Yeah, very,
Yeah,
very
we had all
Very
these
cool.
striking cover.
we had all these red roses, fake red roses we had around our house, and Dalton had snagged a picture of that, and that's what we used as. But we had these
Nice.
roses because somebody had the idea or whatever of like, oh, we throw roses out in the crowd or something like I can't ever something like that, and that's why Gavin had gotten these. We never did it, thankfully, but I think that was a cool idea. That got something like that.
It was a good fucking idea.
Right.
Can we go through, guys, and get you to pick out a favorite track off of the EP and why, or just one you love jamming out this week? I know it's probably going to change
sure.
next week.
For sure.
I'll start.
Someone go.
Yeah.
My favorite is Hate to See You Again. It's just so dynamic from the very beginning, being soft and just soulful to it coming in the middle, and it picks it up for sure. And then there, right at the end, it starts slamming hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man,
Logan?
I'm gonna have to say mine's a hard mix between Anyone at All and In the Darkness. I love Anyone at All because, you know, a lot of these songs especially mean a lot to me.
Yeah.
Particular, you know, a lot of it came straight from me and my like who I am inside. And I gotta say a song that I don't hear a lot of people talk about, and I don't know why, is In the Darkness. I love that track, and I know that's probably Logan's favorite too.
It is.
Yeah, and I just that song has so much meaning, and lyrically, I think that's one of the best. But I mean, probably biased because I wrote down lyrics, but I think all the lyrics are great. But I really love the lyrics in the Darkness, and just that as an overall song. But Anyone at All, that might have to take it. I don't know. I just enjoy that catchy chorus.
Yeah. Yeah, the whole EP is unreal, dude. Like, and as you said there, you don't know why tracks don't get that one doesn't get enough love. Sometimes people need to kind of buy albums and listen to whole albums and EPs. You know
Front
what I
to
mean?
back.
Not just get front to back. It's like always a fucking joy for me whenever I'm doing this. I hear a new band and they're like, hey, these guys want to do an interview, and then I'll go into their back catalog, listen to a whole album, and then you hear the different, the deep cuts on an album or an EP, you know what I mean? You get to hear the whole collection instead of sometimes the streaming cycles kind of guide you in directions and you just get singles and fucking little tastes of the bands. And as a listener myself, you know, it's fun to explore, and other people kind of need to do that a little bit more as well. Especially
I
with
totally
yourselves.
agree because nobody does that. No one listens to the whole.
The-
And if we haven't pushed any of the 4 new ones. Let It Burn's the only one that we have been really pushing because it's been out. That was the first single that came out for the EP.
Yep.
But if you look at our streaming for the EP,
Yeah.
it goes in order of the songs for the amount. And that shows me how little attention span the listener has. Is they'll listen to the number 1, number 2, then number 3's got a little less listens, and number 4's got a little less listens, and number 5's got a little less listens. That just shows you, you know, little things like that you got to keep in mind when structuring these songs is the attention span of your audience, because people don't just sit and listen to the whole EP anymore. They
back.
Yeah.
I love listening to a record front to back.
Yeah, comes from a generation of showing our age, Jim.
Again, yes. Like, you're not wrong, brother. You like to sit, so like to hear every song, like, and that goes for every band. They'll remember the sexy single, you know, but it's like you realize the whole album is a journey. And it's like, listen to the whole goddamn thing, you know. But
yeah. Logan and Josh, do you want to add in there, mate, your favorite tracks?
Well, I mean, mine's In the Darkness.
Yeah.
But
nice.
I mean, that one's just I think that one it really has I think it shows a little bit of everything that Monroe has to offer. when it comes to like the more melodic parts and even like the heavier parts and things like that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. I with me, I guess it's a toss up, you know, in between. I mean, I do really love in the Darkness. I love all of them. You know, but I guess if it came to it, in between Anyone at All and Hate to See You Again. Hate to See You Again is, for me, it's the bridge, because I just think that bridge is just nasty. It's awesome. It's just it's heavy, and I love the heavy stuff. And between Gavin and I alternating, I'm screaming and he's yelling, and it's just it's a heavy bridge. But overall, as a song as a whole, I think Anyone at All is probably my favorite, just because I feel like, me personally, I feel like that's our most passionate song. It's you know, it's just a very emotional song. All of them have a lot of emotions behind them, but for me personally, I think that Anyone at All is the most emotional song that we have, and I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Interesting.
Yeah, all in all, the whole EP, This Is Rebirth, is an absolute pleasure to fucking dive into, guys. I've absolutely
Seconded, Jay.
Absolutely love coming across it, guys. The Tides track, that whole EP, I cannot recommend it enough, people. Best place to support. We know you are all up on the streaming platforms, but physicals and other places people can support you guys.
Physicals, we don't have the physicals yet.
No, in the works. So we're going to look at doing that, or just for shows at the moment, or what's the plans? I've got to ask, man, because I'm one of those metalheads that like to buy a heap of physical shit that my kids are going to inherit and pass on to their kids.
Just talking about that. Yeah, I think I was just talking to someone about that. I think it would be, unfortunately, you know, CDs are almost becoming obsolete, and but I think we are going to do an order eventually, you know, just to sell at the merch booth. Looks like we got more shit, and you know, and if people do want to listen to have a physical CD, I mean, we might as well have them. And I'd like to keep one, you know, put it in a little frame or something for the first, have an actual physical copy of it, you know, so it's not just out there in the ether.
Yeah.
So I can, just like you said, one day be like, hey, hold a picture frame and be like, look, this was our first EP back in, you know, 2023. And
well, that's where it pays to have people, Gavin, sorry, to go buy the digital copies, man. I know you aren't up on Bandcamp yet, but other platforms like that, iTunes and Google Music and things like that. Yeah, I know I'm a Bandcamp nerd, mate. I bought hundreds of albums through there, but I always feel better about contributing to bands. You know what I mean? Like buying albums. I'm one of those sort of people, even if it is a digital copy. You know, for me, that's something that I've really feel passionate about doing to support the scene. It's not just sitting here chatting to bands all over the world. It's like I put my money where my mouth is. I'm still fucking buying albums. I'm a fan. I love music in general, you know?
Indeed.
Yeah, definitely.
There we go. Okay, guys. We'll sign out there and let you get about it. This has been a fucking absolute pleasure. Did you have any last words, shout outs, thank yous, or anything else you'd like to add in there, guys?
Thanks for having us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys, man.
And thank you, and a shout out to Imagen,
Sean,
Jim, you guys,
Shauna, we trust, man. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Very cool. We can't thank you guys enough for being on, but like your sound is GD amazing. So thank you for talking to me and Jay. This has been absolutely incredible.
Absolute pleasure.
Absolutely.
Everyone go and grab it.
We need to get a show together.
Yes. Yeah. For sure. Absolutely. We would be honored to open for you guys, man. For sure.
Awesome.
For sure. I'm gonna PM you guys after we're done here, if that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. This has been an absolute pleasure chatting with Monroe. Everybody needs to go out and grab This Is Rebirth, put it in the stereos, turn it up really bloody loud so the neighbors can hear it as well. Cheers, guys. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Nice.
See ya.
Cheers.
See ya.
Oi, you're tuned in to Jai, that Aussie metal guy, so make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any of his sick content. And remember, stay brutal, you legend.